You're watching or listening to Let's Fight, our podcast. This is episode number 10, and it is about sex and communication. There's not a huge content warning for this one. We're still coming to you from South Carolina. Uh, I say not a huge content warning because we're not going to be going into any particulars. We're going to be talking about the general theology, the biblical principles behind these things, and trying to move from the cultural frame that the world has to what the Bible clearly teaches for us. Again, we are not recording these with a producer. My wife is doing a great job with the production, and thank you to Riverside, the app. But we are just really having a conversation, but we're having a conversation about topics that we think are important to help people who are struggling in marriage. A writer who I follow on Facebook named John Moody had a comment that I thought was really interesting and led to a lot of thoughts towards this topic that I've gone around and around in marriage counseling with others. His comment was that on a Saturday recently, his wife turned to him and said, "I have nothing more to say to you." And she wasn't saying that because she was mad at him or leaving him or over him. She was saying that because she had said all of the things that she wanted to say. Does that seem like it's happening often in marriage or not often?
Not often. You hardly get a chance to really fully communicate the things that you want to communicate, to feel heard, to feel understood. Just because life is very busy, with or without kids, there's demands on your time, whether it's work or when you have kids.
And a reasonable thing that I think all spouses do if they're not completely self-absorbed is consider time and place and manner
Mm.
and to say, okay, I really want to talk about this potential conflict or this fear I have about have I prepared well enough for the fall or our kids signed up for the right classes? Is this going right? But like now's not the time.
Yeah, I definitely think being aware of the setting and just the environment. And if you've had a really long, hard day at work, maybe when you're exhausted, let's bring up something that's going to be 2 hours of heated discussion. That's not the right time. I do think it's helpful, even for your own sake, to say, hey, I would like to discuss this, but let's plan a time when we both are in our, better place to talk through this issue.
And that time, place, and manner and figuring out when the best time to do things is also applicable to the other conversation around sex. Now, this is not a fully reductionist frame. And gosh, you guys are so gendered and absurd. And you think every guy wants sex. Some guys don't even want sex. Okay. Yeah. We're talking in a regular, normal, most often seen pattern recognition type of Christian marriage. Also, importantly, to note for this particular podcast, we recognize that there are people because of injury, because of disability, because of elements of the aging process, because of trauma and histories of trauma. This doesn't really apply to. There are exceptions. There are important things that need to be recognized. Again, if what we share helps 80% of the Christian couples who are watching and they're like, oh, this is really good for me, then we have really done a great job in my view of what we're trying to do. It's like, well, you left behind the 20%. Well, I don't think that everyone wants to listen to a 2.5 hour long podcast where we go over each and every detail. In the future, I hope that we have time to address some of the common patterns that get more and more of the other pieces of the 5% who are this and the 3% who are that. But for now,
Mhm.
we're talking about average, regular old Christian marriages and patterns that we see repeatedly. So,
I think first they maybe dispel the lies that you hear in our culture.
yeah,
Because I know we were going to talk about that more in the essays that
yeah,
we're sharing, but
yes, we are,
Mhm.
and we're going to talk about uh, if you're big on following all of these battles, we're going to be big. We're going to be talking about Alisa Childers and Ann Kennedy, who's wonderful. And we're going to be talking about Sheila Ray Gregor. And I did read her book. I'm not just going to talk about her book. And Brad Wilcox. Now, if you don't know anything about any of those people, that's fine. And you can read our essay or not. But we will be addressing all of that today in a conversational way. We're going to talk about these two things at a 30,000 foot view. Women want to be heard and they want to be understood. They crave at a very high level emotional intimacy. And men want to have sex with their wife. Okay, now that's a little reductionist. Of course it is. But men want to be respected and men want to be desired. And so, well, do you need your wife to compliment, your calves? Probably not. But do you want your wife to appreciate your role as a protector and provider and to demonstrate that she is available to you sexually and attracted to you sexually and get to enjoy that particular gift often in marriage? Yes, for most men, that is the case. And there's mismatches in both of those things. No one really told me about emotional intimacy growing up. I mean, maybe my dad didn't realize that when I was a 15-year-old on the church ski trip that I was going to become the amateur uh, counselor that I was, or how odd that was. But I knew we were talking about this before Josh Harris had come onto the scene. That's how old I am. But I knew that sexual purity was important and that I wasn't to be randomly hooking up with people. I remember a different incident when there were kids who were all doing truth or dare, and the kids went into the closet. And I mean, I thought that the fires of hell were going to open and swallow them down because he had gone to second base. I felt it. My moral indignation was similar to if he had murdered a few people that night. And so, yeah, the physical intimacy is something that's special. You're supposed to share it in a very limited context. I got that. Emotional intimacy, being special, that you should share it in a limited context. I had no idea. And so I ended up with a confusing experience multiple times of,
This is way before me. I was young and you were older. So
yes, it was way before I knew
I
you.
know these stories, but I was not on the scene.
But it would just happen again and again with girls who I was not physically flirting with, attracted to, wanting to date. But I did care about them as a person and wanted to be a good friend and a good listener. And what I found again and again, which sounds funny to say, pattern recognition came slowly, but I was very naive and young. When someone has shared their deepest hopes, their deepest fears, their biggest dreams, their biggest disappointments, when you've given them even a Christian side hug as they were crying, um, they tend to have strong feelings for you. If you're both single, sadly, I mean, in counseling, it's a danger sometimes when people aren't single, but that emotional intimacy creates something important. And for many women, it is the critical oxygen to their breathing. I mean, it's the thing that they want the most.
Right. Oh, and that's what, we were talking about in a previous episode, things that you can do that are thoughtful during the day, sending a message to your spouse. Hey, I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you. You were saying offering, oh, I'm away home. Can I pick up anything for you? And for women, that is foreplay. For women, that is something that now you feel connected. You feel seen. You feel known, loved by your spouse. And so that's a very small way for women. It might not be the same for men, but when you feel like they're thinking about you and caring about you in a way you feel more open and more loved.
And again, guys, this should seem obvious, but man, otherwise intelligent men I know that I'm a weird person. Okay, I was a English literature major. I enjoyed writing sonnets at one point. Okay, I'm not going to keep telling my wife, "Your hair looks pretty." No, really, look at this, guys. Her hair looks pretty. I really like her hair. Her hair's pretty. if you repeat the same compliment over and over again till it becomes rote, it's not meaningful to the person. It just doesn't. And especially seems like obvious and not like you even mean it if your compliment is tied to clearly the thing that you are seeking and the transaction you want. Man, I'm going to stop at Trader Joe's. I don't want to spend a lot on some flowers, but I know that flowers will help me here in this situation. I'm bringing home flowers. I'm going to tell her she's pretty. I'm going to offer to give her a back massage. You know, her back's been hurting taking care of those youngins. And so, really, I mean, listen, it should the
I'm
wife,
like, "That's pretty nice." I'm like,
if it works, it
"Actually,
works,
maybe."
guys. What are you going to do?
Everyone has different levels. So for some people, that could be a big step up. So I'm not gonna discount that. I understand what you're saying. It shouldn't be the same compliment every time. I think you're pretty. That doesn't even speak to the heart of the matter. People should care more about us more substantial or character-based things. Hey, I appreciate how much you serve our family, how well you love our children, how well you care for me. What?
Okay, here's a specific thing
Okay.
in compliments.
Mhm.
So for a woman, a part of what happens, especially when you're married and you have kids, is that your body is changing some.
Yeah.
Okay. And for a married man whose wife is being cultivated by him as his like standard of perfection, like you're the hottest woman in the world to me. I think you're the most beautiful woman in
Right,
the
because
world.
I'm the only person you're allowed to have sex with.
But that's
But
not
that's good. No, I'm saying
but that's
you
not the only
should.
reason why. There's also a purposeful, thoughtful cultivation of appreciation of your beauty that I'm not applying to anybody else in the
Right.
world.
Yeah.
But there are specific things that I still think that you find it hard to believe or don't believe, which would be like when you're like, my body changed in this way because I had babies. And I'm like, that's so awesome. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, because it speaks to me too of not just your greatness and your beauty as a wife, but your greatness and beauty as a wife who is the mother of my children.
Yeah.
Because like with the blessing and power of God, like a co-creator of
Mm.
life.
Yes, but even that is something I think you have to teach others to appreciate that, because I don't think our culture is desperate to erase lines that would show aging, erase evidence that you've had children. It's, they are incentivized because of money, right? It's all a business, a very
Yeah.
lucrative business. But I'm saying even with that, you need to train or teach husbands to value the changes in their wives because of having children, what that looks like and what that means.
Okay, guys, super practical one. This doesn't apply to everybody. It applies to a lot of the circles that I'm in, a lot of the friends I have. For most of us in my little circle, we married women who were pretty thin and who had pretty relatively narrow hips. Their hips widen as a consequence of being pregnant. Their hips widen. And although they can snap back and lose weight and blah, 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 their hips are wider after they've had a child than they were before they had a child. Without exception, it's literally never happened ever the other way. Myself and 100% of my guy friends who have observed this think that their wife looks better after she had the baby in terms of having wider hips. Every single one of us. It's like, now, I mean, I don't believe in evolutionary biology. I believe God designed us, but you can easily come up with, examples and understand that fecundity, which means the ability to procreate, the ability to have children, is extremely attractive. So, of course, there's that level that is speaking to, but also just guys, we are somewhat taught in our culture to value things by our culture that don't actually line up with who we are. Um, you can look at magazines. If you're a man, don't. It's not helpful. But as a woman, that make you believe that you should have an eating disorder if you're going to be attractive. Because everyone in those pages either is airbrushed into a figure that doesn't exist or has an actual eating disorder. The data on that is very out there and clear. Tons of the top models have eating disorders. Who is attracted to the way that they look? fashion designers who are often gay who want someone who's a coat hanger and who don't like the shape of women's bodies. They would like a coat hanger. They would like something that they can just put on that drapes perfectly. This is a weird digression into high fashion, except it's not, because our culture is training women to feel inadequate and for women to hate the differences in their figure. We live in such a morally perverse and inverted world where our culture rewards masculine women and feminine men. If a man has a man's voice instead of a, hey, babe, yeah, whatever you want, wherever you want to go, he's considered threatening. That is not toxic masculinity to have a male voice. It is a gift from God, and it's the way he designed us, and we should be celebrating it. But back to women's bodies, all of my guy friends, we had this conversation multiple times throughout years, because you and I had kids over several different time periods. They'd say, gosh, my wife is so attractive to me. I'm so attracted to her. And she doesn't believe it. Like, she's like, no, I don't look the same I did before. Do you believe me that I think you're better looking than when we first got married?
I mean, you do tell me that and you don't lie. So it's hard to believe sometimes because I'm also a lot older and part of it's just aging. But yes, I do think that you are more attracted to my body type now than you were then.
And when we got married, she was very attractive. But I think she looks better now. But here's the thing I'm saying. And it is, again, this is not universal. Clayton, actually, I need to write you because my wife, when we got married, was way too big and now she's on GLP-1 and she looks a lot better. Okay, stop. This isn't for everybody. Let me say that a lie that I've seen Satan use that makes me really sad, because if only both people could really connect with each other, it would be powerful and wonderful, is this. Most guys I know who are married to women who were skinny when they got married, after their wife has kids and her hips get a little wider and she gets a little fuller, they're more attracted to their wife and she won't believe them. She doesn't believe them. Well, you're just stuck saying that to me. You just have to say that to me. There's also something that I cannot relate to at all, but I absolutely know is real, and I haven't gone through it. And again, this isn't going to be overly graphic, but I was very appalled and had to really pray through my attitude when I was told that there would be a period of time that we weren't having sex.
After childbirth, yeah.
Yeah, because you were
Yeah,
having a baby.
right.
Maybe it should have been obvious. Maybe I'm just a selfish jerk, but it was like, I mean, listen, like, I'm like a couple of days off, like, of course, but
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Weeks.
That that seemed like a long time.
It's an opportunity for you to serve and to love and to care for your wife who's just birthed your child. And you did well.
I
You did great.
became aware
Mhm.
of that challenge, and I believe that I rose to the challenge. But the part that I cannot relate to at all is I have no idea what it means to be a mom. I have no idea what it means to breastfeed. I have no idea what it means to feel like your body that was like you've gotten used to in marriage, the two become one flesh. My body is not my own. It is also yours. Your body is not your own. It is also mine. Great. But now there's also a screaming kid.
Mm.
The Bible really talks about the fact, I mean, of you nurturing them as healthy, but there's actually now even brain studies showing that your brain lights up more with alarm when you hear a screaming baby than mine.
Right. Because they're more vulnerable than you are.
You tried to help me with that by getting very loud monitors and turning them up right next to our bed. So when there was a whimper, it was like, get out the baby. I was like, we could turn that off completely and just live like we did before recently with technology. But okay, here's again, back to understanding each other, living in an understanding manner. Guys, you need to know that at this point, your wife is feeling vulnerable. Hormonally, she is feeling unattractive, and she is feeling unattractive sexually vis-a-vis you. She's feeling overwhelming love, care, and concern for a baby. And in a healthy marriage, your marriage comes before the kid. Absolutely. That is a fact. Nothing will bless your kids more than knowing that you've made each other a priority. God first, then one another, and then your kids. That is the healthy and ordered priority. Day 3 of having a kid, buddy, you're feeling displaced because you are. You're displaced. Okay? It doesn't feel like you matter as much during that time, and you don't matter as much during that time. No one made me dinner. Make dinner for yourself and your spouse and care for them and help them and love them and nurture them. But the easy part of saying that though is, you hear a ton about dad bod. Dad bod. I don't know that you ever bought it because I was like, I had it, but not necessarily in a celebratory way. The difference between us is my wife can be looking incredible and she will look at herself with a critical eye. And I, as I found to my horror, even worse than I thought, can be looking at myself and look terrible and think, all right, keep up the good work, buddy. So, but man, I guess what I would say is I just really wish people understood, Christians understood, in the confines of marriage understood, that mom bod is really attractive to husbands. When you are looking at your wife, her hips are wider, she's a little bit bigger than she was. And again, health is the goal here, right? Clayton, what is the exact amount of weight? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know. Health, strength, the ability to care for yourself, to care for your body well. But if you have your hips a little wider and you just wish you could look like a girlish figure that you had when you were 17 or 18, your husband doesn't. He's attracted to you as a woman. And he's particularly attracted to you as a woman who had his kid. That process, an important thing to cultivate in marriage, back to the 1,000 daily things that we just talked about, is to even ask God to make your spouse more beautiful and more precious to you every year. One of my friends, he's a pastor in Knoxville, great guy, brilliant author as well. I'll just give him a shout out here. Ronnie Batchelor. He's awesome. Ronnie just celebrated his anniversary and he was celebrating his wife and he was celebrating her beauty. And her beauty, she is a beautiful woman, but his focus was not just on her external beauty, it was on her as a person. Here's what I know to be true. Ronnie thinks that Bridget is more beautiful today than when they first got married. Well, how can you cultivate that? By looking for beauty in your spouse and by saying, I'm going to celebrate their beauty. And that becomes more and more precious. We joke about it with each other. It's like, okay, when I'm 65, you'll be 60.
Mhm.
Will either of us look good?
We will look older.
I think
We won't be focused on the physical. We'll be focused more on character, on things that have eternal value, which we all know is downhill from here. Like we're not getting any.
Charm is deceitful and
Yeah,
beauty is vain.
fleeting.
It is a fleeting thing,
Fleeting.
but also I'm still going to be attracted to you.
Because attraction runs so much deeper than your skin.
Yes.
Yes.
But my skin's going to get worse.
Yeah. Same.
But it doesn't mean you're not attracted. Anyway, guys, especially early marriage folks, guys and girls, again, it's just funny because I've always wished that there could be like a blessing from the Lord would be for someone to be able to like wipe away all of the exterior pretense, because that's the part is like, hey, I'm not a liar. I'm not saying this to manipulate you. Believe me, I'm very, very attracted to you. And in the specific ways you changed, having babies, I'm attracted to you. Wives have a really hard time believing their husbands on that. They're believing a lot of cultural lies. They're believing a lot of beauty standards that don't apply to heterosexual men. It should only be about what your husband thinks. It shouldn't be about trying to impress random guys out there. That's gross. But these beauty standards that people are following, most of our beauty standards in Western culture, and specifically in American fashion culture, are made by homosexual men. They're not attracted to women who look like women. They don't hold that up as the standard. Instead, they hold up people who look like they're drug addicts or victims of starvation. And that's sad. That's tragic. Christians can and should do a lot better than that.
Well, and marriage is a commitment. right? Like you have vowed before God to be faithful, to love them, take care of them. And so you can't base things just about your feelings. There are some days I feel more attracted to you, and there have been some seasons where I've felt less attracted to you. If it was just based on my feelings, that's very much up and down, waves being tossed to and fro. That's nothing to build a foundation on. It's the commitment. You are covenanted before God.
Yeah.
You are going to be continued to be married to them. So what are things you can invest in? Well, that's why the physical is such a minor thing. Like, yes, I'm thankful that you're attractive, but that's going to go away, with age. I'm just saying that's something that we know will change.
Yeah.
That's inevitable.
Absolutely.
That will change. What won't change is your growth in the Lord, the ways that you exhibit the fruits of the Spirit in your life, how you care for me, how you care for our children. That's very attractive to me. How you parent our kids, how you serve and love me. Like that all makes you much more attractive than even just your physical attractiveness. And so I think that's important that we tell ourselves the truth, and you can't base that on your feelings on any given day or any given moment. Because even hormones can change that within a month cycle. So
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's another important thing the guys should figure out and learn. Hormones matter. There are times every month when Danielle does not need a lot of convincing that she is a very good looking woman. And there are other times when really, no matter what I say or how I say it, or if I said it really well, you're just not going to think that
you
you
don't
look
feel
attractive.
great, and so then therefore you don't feel attractive. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And just knowing that is like, you don't have to, make the other person a problem that you have to fix, and you don't have to win. You don't have to be like, well, you're going to agree because I told you I believe this, and you need to see yourself the way I see you. That's also, look, I get the impulse of that. I've been guilty of feeling that way. You want your spouse to see themselves the way that God sees them. That's the important reframe. Not like, I don't care what you think about this. I will say too, though, that when it comes to a few things, what your spouse thinks matters more than what you think. One of those areas would be clothing. Now, just to be blunt, because it's happened with a few people that we care about, if your spouse has terrible taste, don't let them dress you. How would you know? Ask people who don't have terrible taste. But you really disliked some stylistic choices that I had made before we got married. Most of those guys revolved around sweaters. Now, listen, if you're thinking of like Bill Cosby sweaters, I did not have those sweaters. My sweaters were classic Norwegian ski type sweaters.
That
And
sounds really cool. These were not cool. These were boxy. They were
I'm
very
Norwegian.
ill-flattering.
The shape of them wasn't
Oh,
great.
it was bad.
I won't
Bad.
deny
They were
that.
itchy.
They were wool.
Oh, yeah.
They were wool.
Those are great. I think more of the pleated pants and pleated shorts was really my thing. Yeah.
But I didn't fight you on that. The only
Eventually,
real
we
I never
all
fought on the pleated shorts. The only fight, and I didn't have cargo shorts, by the way. Got some style. Okay.
Actually, I think I can find some pictures.
What? Oh yeah, back when they were cool. That's talking about ancient history. Anyway, the bottom line is it was an obvious thing for me to grow in as a person to say, my wife, what she thinks of the way I'm dressed and the way I look matters more than what I think of the way I'm dressed and the way I look.
And I would call it boho, and you would call it hobo. I liked more eclectic.
Let me defend
styles.
her a bit. Okay. She was balling on a budget. That's a part of the truth. And she was in a band, and she was in
I was in
Nashville,
Nashville, yeah.
and she was playing out shows. And so, but yeah,
You liked more formal,
clashing,
professional,
like,
classic, like Ann
hippie
Taylor.
chic was not.
Yeah. But I did desire
Ann
to
Taylor
please you.
Ann Taylor
Okay,
was
we're not doing an
peak.
ad for Ann Taylor.
That was peak.
I
A
wanted to please
suit, a
you.
nice suit.
Therefore, I needed to change not who I am. My clothing does not say who I am.
Right.
I think that's a big thing. That's not my identity.
Right.
It's clothing. Who cares?
Yeah.
I needed to change somewhat so that you appreciated it and you
Right.
enjoyed it, because I cared about you more than I cared about, something I thrifted that I thought was cool.
Yeah.
So,
And now over time, I mean, the thing that's happened normally, we both have morphed somewhat, and our styles are different than they were when we got
Yeah.
married, but they're more similar to each other. They're more complementary to each other. Okay, but what we're talking about in one area is this. Um, how do you, as a man, get to where your wife feels that you're living in an understanding manner, that she's seen and heard, that you've listened to all of the important things she wants to talk about? Now, again, like pre-cycling works better than recycling. Important tip to wives: if you want to be fully heard, edit yourself before you start talking. Danielle's never been, what would you call that? A nattering Nelly? I don't know. What's a good
It's a
phrase?
really old-fashioned thing.
You've never been someone who just talks for no reason about nothing.
Right.
But you also know
Big
that
word vomit.
if you have important stuff you want to tell me, I'm going to give you my full attention, especially if you say, I have important stuff I want to tell you.
Yeah. Even if it's not important to you, if it's important to me, it only is important to you because you care about me.
That's
And
right.
that's okay.
That's true.
But yes, I would say give the highs. You don't have to give every excruciating detail, but to still feel understood and to feel heard.
And even leave up to feel understood and heard what you're looking for. Hey,
Yeah.
I need to check in. I have some anxious feelings about this that's coming up, and I do not want you to solve this problem.
Mhm.
I want you to listen to my
Don't
feelings.
fix this, just listen.
Great. Then we're going to get that.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I want to work on this problem with you. This is what I'm thinking. And then,
Yeah. Do you have any ideas? How would you address this or how would you communicate this? Yeah. There's a very big difference between fix this problem that I'm dealing with or just listen to me and then just be on my team and
Right.
support me.
But again, these are not goals that are like, these are impossible to reach. They're just impossible to reach. They're not impossible to reach. Every day, 24 hours a day, your spouse feels fully understood and heard. That's an unrealistic goal. That's a really kind of ridiculous goal. Even if you can't afford date nights, some staycations, some listening, some turning off Netflix and turning to your spouse and saying, hey, like, what's on your heart? What's going on? What's in your mind? How are you doing? Your spouse, when they feel emotionally connected to you, when they feel heard, when they feel understood, is going to be much more open to your bids to connect sexually. That's just a fact. It is the way that it works. Also, though, generally speaking, we fit the normal pattern of male and female relationships where I would like to have sex more times a week than you would.
Yeah, typically.
That is the general pattern. Um, do you think that in this week there's been any time that I've felt like, well, man, I just wish I could be having more sex?
No, we're on vacation. This is like pretty rare and unique in the sense that we have no schedule, we have no children. This doesn't happen a lot.
This doesn't happen a lot. But here's the other thing about that. It is, uh, we need air to breathe. Pretty obvious. You need water also. You need water more than you need food. I did a 3-day fast. Oh, now I have no rewards in heaven. It wasn't for spiritual reasons. It's because I was really fat and I was trying to get into ketosis. But I did a 3-day fast. You don't even need water. You don't even need food. You need air really immediately. You need water. Then you need food eventually. You don't need sex. You don't have to have sex or else you're dead. But man, if you're like, well, yeah, I've been, the last 6 months kind of hit a dry spell. You're roommates at this point. You're not in a marital union.
You do need to protect and preserve sex in marriage because it's the only person that you're allowed to have sex with, and it's a unique gift to marriage. And so you do need to nurture it. You need to take care that you continue doing that, whether or not you feel it that day or not. I think it's really important. I think it does indicate other health issues in your marriage. If you're not having consistent sex with your spouse, I do think it indicates something deeper is going on. Maybe you're not communicating well. Maybe there are some resentments. Maybe there's some trust issues. There's something deeper because that's just an indicator that something is not quite right.
Yeah. And it does matter. It does bring you to a place of health. But again, for a man, I'm telling you that if your wife looks at you and says, I have nothing more to say, like, I feel totally understood. I feel totally connected. I feel like you're on my team. You've heard me. You're there for me. You help as you can to fix problems that you're able to fix. But when all I really need is somebody to just support me and to know that this is hard for me, to be empathetic, you're there for me, it's going to have a very positive impact on your sex life. And treating sex as a reward for a good boy is a great way to make sure that nobody likes it. Nobody enjoys it.
Well, it becomes a transaction. You almost use it as like a bargaining chip, or you use it as like a threat. Like, well, fine, if you do this, I'm not gonna. It's like that's not what the Bible talks about at all.
Right.
Part of marriage is that my body belongs to you, but it's not just one way. Your body belongs to me, and that's a gift. It's also responsibility.
And sex is not supposed to be a power play. It's not supposed to be um, either way. Living an understanding manner, you don't come home and go, well, I want sex right now. And I was listening to that podcast at least the first 3 minutes before I turned it off. I'm making fun of men there, but I would guess that that's going to happen more if the woman is like, I love this podcast. It's really helpful. And the guy's like, well, did you know that the World Cup's still going on? But yes, it is not a transactional thing. It is not a power play. It shouldn't be a power play for the man. It shouldn't be a power play for the woman. It shouldn't be demanded. It shouldn't be something, instead of looking, we're looking in the wrong direction. There's a great little statement that was made about sexual purity. That was, when people's question is, how far can I go? That's not the right question. The right question is, how pure can I be? Well, people still want to know. Uh, but, and we're certainly not doing a sex talk today for our marriage podcast. We're not doing one for how to do it with your children either. But in the context of marriage and serving each other, the question is not like, how much do I have to listen to get my wife to have sex with me? Like, how do I have to show up? Like, is one date night a week? Is that too much? Could we just go to one a month? I know I could do one a month. That is not the right question. It's, how can I love and serve my spouse so that she feels fully known and understood? And for a woman, if you're sitting there going, how much do I have to have sex? Is it like once a month? Is that enough? You said weekly. I guess it's just the date night then. Whenever there's a date night, then he gets sex. So if there's no date night, no sex. That's not healthy. It's not good. It's not a good way to view it. And for both of you, if you do not cultivate in yourself the desire to delight in that which delights the other, you will have a pretty terrible marriage. When my wife is feeling excited because we've deeply connected, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm not sitting there gritting my teeth and going, I have to listen to this. Dang it. Woman, I wish there was a 2x speed. Can't we just get this over with? If I'm doing that, first of all, she can tell, right? She can tell. And even if I'm good enough at faking it that she can't tell, I'm building something gross inside my heart. It's the same for sex. You can't tell. I can't tell you the number of times I just went through it, even though I hated it. Okay. And maybe in the one that we do eventually, we'll talk about that. Women should not be hating sex either. And if your wife is hating sex, not always, but pattern wise, there's something that you're not doing right there. But in both cases, again, at the theological level, your bodies belong to each other, live in an understanding manner, and seek mutuality of care and nurture, where you're both pouring into the other person, where you're both delighting in what delights them. You will find that your marriage is stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
Does again, closing thoughts that you have about this topic, about encouragement, listening?
What I was trying to lead you to at the beginning, which I don't think you understood my question, which is okay. I think there's a lot of lies culturally that sex in marriage is boring and not good. And what you're saying is what the evidence points to is actually Christian couples or evangelical couples, they have the best sex lives. It's more satisfying. Is that accurate to say?
Here's the thing about the subsets. Yes, you're correct. The subsets, not the subsex. The subset, when you say the word evangelical, it does a lot of work that sometimes is wrong. When people say evangelicals get divorced just like everybody else, evangelicals cheat on their spouse just like everyone else, they're grabbing a lot of people who say I'm evangelical like they're not Muslim, and they don't even know what the word means. Evangelicals, as defined in like Wilcox studies and other things, as people who go to church together, it's pretty loose. It's not asking you to like write out the Nicene Creed. Evangelicals who go to church together have the lowest levels of spousal abuse of any group studied, have the highest rates of sexual satisfaction of any group studied. And yeah,
Yeah.
we're over here living our best life.
Well, I think it's important to explain that there are a lot of negative connotations culturally. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, now you've just given up, you've gotten married, and now your life is over. And it's like, actually, this is what it was intended for. It's a gift, it's a privilege. It was designed for this context. And this is a way it can be expressed fully in this safe, loving, and nurturing environment.
In a safe, loving, nurturing environment, if you're telling your wife, hey, please help me understand you. I want to understand you and I want to serve you. I want to know you. I want to take care of you. I want to serve you. You're going to end up really connected over time. And 30 years in, if you've done that consistently, you will be more connected than you were 15 years in. So that seems obvious, but it's important to note and to think about. It's why our levels of satisfaction get so high, because you do know them better than anyone else. You do understand them better than anyone else. You can help them more than anyone else. And you have a history of shared love and sacrifice that's very precious to both of you when your mind is set to gratitude to consider all of the ways in which you've been showing up for each other. The same part is true for sex. Hey, I want this to be awesome for you. Can you tell me what feels good for you? Can you tell me what you like? Can you tell me what you enjoy? Did you like that? Did you enjoy that? Yes, I did. Thank you. Yes, that was great. That was also great. Yes, thank you. That was great. And so again, like just imagine, I mean, that's another obvious point. My wife and I have terrible sex. We don't enjoy it. There's something really wrong. Okay, so let's hear a little bit more about your sex life. Well, in the last 3 years, in the 4 times that we had sex, it was really pretty awkward, uncomfortable. Didn't enjoy it. Yeah, if you play basketball 4 times a year, you're not going to make many shots. Okay. Again, this is not an argument where I'm saying this applies to every single case. There are seasons, there are problems, there are disabilities, there are lots of things going on. If you're a regular, healthy couple and you're having sex a couple of times a year, you're not going to have good sex because you're not doing it enough. You don't even know how to do it. You're certainly, well, I've been married for 10 years, so I think our 40 experiences is probably what? No. Uh-uh. Things that you should be regularly seeking to connect with your spouse emotionally,
Mm.
to love and care for them. And you should be regularly seeking to connect with your spouse physically, to love and care for them. It is not a demand, and we're not telling you an exact amount. We're saying that this is a precious, beautiful privilege and blessing in marriage. It's not something to be shunned or dreaded. It's not something that's a burden or a sadness. In all of those cases, providing emotional intimacy, providing physical intimacy, it's a tremendous gift from God that we're grateful to be able to treasure within our marriage, and you should be able to treasure in your marriage as well. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
watching.
listening. I like